All right, we'll let a few more people trickle in. I know we're running just a minute or two behind, but it's Saturday morning and it's early, and I am so proud of everyone for taking the time for themselves. And I was thinking about it this morning, and I think that Zoom virtual events are a little bit more exhausting than real life events in some ways, because I think you're aware that you're on, so much more. Like if we were all sitting in a room together, I think there's been like research about this with Zoom fatigue, but we're not like assuming everybody's staring at my face. I have to exaggerate my gestures and all of these things. And so I also feel like it's a little bit more vulnerability. So anyway, I just applaud everyone for attending and yes, taking time for yourself this morning. So um,
And
I'll
to put
back
more
up.
makeup on.
Yeah, also and that, right? Yeah, yeah, the camera always wants a little more makeup. Um, for those of you who don't know me, I am Leslie Bailey. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Indy Maven, and I'm so excited that our sign is back in action. It was in our basement, so if we were at a real event, you would get to take photos on our granary wall and beautiful sign. But until then, you can just look at it there behind me. But it got me excited to have the light back on it because I was like, yes, this is we will be together again soon. But in the meantime, we're here virtually. So this is this in general, our morning session is sponsored by Circadian Coffee. So for those of you that are paid ticket holders, you have some little coupons in there in your digital swag bag. So I hope you can enjoy that. And our merch will be going live on our website in within the next 4 weeks. So any of the Indie Maven mugs that you've been seeing floating around, the super cozy sweatpants, all that good stuff will be available, yes, for purchase. And members, you get 10% discount on all the merch. So that's exciting. I will here you should all have the agenda for the day in your email. Insider Premium, you just have a link. General, you have an email that we resent this morning, so you should have everything there accessible. Because of the nature of this being Zoom webinars, a combination of webinars and meetings, we'll kind of have to hop around to different links. But I think it's going to be such an exciting day, and I'm again so proud of everyone for just taking the time and making the time for yourselves, and thank you for spending it with us, because I know weekends are, I think, so much more valuable and precious now, as we've seen the lines blurred between our worlds of professional and personal and work. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about here today. But I think I personally am more protective of my weekends than ever, and I think many of us are. So I think it's so special that that you're here. And I hope, I mean, I'll be, because my thing is transparency. A virtual plannings conference is hard. Virtual is hard. There are a lot of logistics. It's stressful. There's just a lot of, it was a learning experience. And if today goes anything like yesterday went, it was all so worth it because the connections that we saw were made. I have a whole list of songs to download, books to read, places to buy bras, paint colors to look into, like women to know. I alone personally learned so much yesterday, and I think a lot of others took it away. Hopefully, many things as well. So we will go ahead and move into our next panel shortly. I just want to check a message. I don't know who that's from. I love when you can't see things on you just see phone numbers. But let me pull up our first panel, and we'll give it another minute since officially we're not getting started. But I will also give the backstory, and I apologize if some of this content that I'm sharing is a little bit repetitive. But for those of you who don't know, Indie Maven launched officially in October of 2019, And it was like a seedling of an idea. We officially got together in April to talk about it, but it was sort of a little bit of an idea in January, February of 2019 of how I could figure out how to put my passions together and hopefully make a career out of it. But I didn't know what that was going to look like. And I'm what I call a Renaissance soul, which I'll talk about in my keynote later today. But if that resonates with you, it's somebody who has interests in a lot of different things, and you do a lot of things okay, pretty well, but maybe not one thing exceptionally. And that's frustrating. I've always been really envious of people who knew that they were going to be a doctor, because that was like very strange. It's pretty obvious what you need to do to be a doctor. But if you're a communications major, it's not as obvious. Like, what do you do with that? You could go work in healthcare. You could work in the media. You could work. I mean, this is why we all, communications majors, we go into that because we don't usually know what we want to do. I didn't, and I still am figuring out elements of that. But I was like, well, I guess the best way to figure out is to figure out what I don't want to do. For so many years, I just tried lots of different things. And then I thought, well, that's going to take a really long time to do process of elimination. So let's try narrowing it down. And I started working with a life coach and started thinking, like, what am I passionate about? And that came up with women sharing resources with that I had knowledge of, but also gathering resources. I'm a big information person. But then in light of, I think, now more than ever too, having a space where like-minded women are able to connect, and it's a safe space, and it's a nurturing space, and it's a space where we can all uplift each other. So that's why we're here today. And just looking like at the women on my screen right now, like who we're going to kick this day off with, we have already built so many different relationships. I know I have personally, but I've seen them built. And it's so exciting. I'm so pumped for all of you to experience this day, because again, just what we did in the few short hours that we had together yesterday was absolutely magical. So I just wanted to thank you again all for being here and taking the time for yourselves. The way that the day is going to go, as I mentioned, so you will meet our moderators, and then they will introduce our panelists. The panels are about 30 minutes, so they're not super long. You'll be able to, in between them, take stretch breaks, go get your coffee refills. Definitely still have time to do things on your Saturdays. We have fabulous workshops. Then we'll have the keynote, a few more panels and workshops. Each of the panels also has a live giveaway. So for this one today, I have to pull up my giveaway. Oh, I love this one. We have a 3-day cleanse of juices from Simplicity Juice. So we will do those at the end of the sessions, which are awesome. And I love Simplicity juices. Pink is my favorite. If you have not had them, they're fabulous. You can get them at like Safeway, Kroger, lots of different places. So at the end of each one, you'll just want to make sure that you stick around. We'll be drawing a name at random and then announcing it. And at the very end of the day, we'll have our closing remarks, and we will be doing a live giveaway for the whole conference, which is a one-night stay at the Conrad Hotel. And I believe there's brunch and ballet, so you can have a little staycation. I had one there a few months ago that I wrote about, and it was lovely. It was so well needed, so needed, as I'm sure many of you feel the same way. So I encourage you to stick around and join us for those. As far as if you are not a member yet, we would love, love, love for you to join us, and you will be getting an email with a great little trial for a membership for you to check us out. We hope you join us. And for those of you who are members, we are looking at finally doing, I think, our first member meetup in May in person. So we're going to be in touch with you shortly about where that will be, and we will be socially distanced, and we will make it absolutely as safe as possible. And we will work in a virtual component to all of our events moving forward, so that if you're not unable to attend in person or not quite comfortable yet, you'll be able to do that. So let me see, we're doing, okay, it looks like we have everybody here. Nope, we're missing one more for our panelists, I think. Gabby, is that correct? Oh, no, we're all here. Yay. Okay, we can get started. Well, I will go ahead and introduce Jessica Hayes from Fox 59, who will be our moderator today. We have a fabulous relationship with Fox 59. If you haven't seen, we occasionally get to go on there and talk about what we're doing with Indy Maven, and we love it. I used to go on there when I was with the Indianapolis Star, so I will let Jessica take it away, although I can't see you, Jessica.
I know, I'm not sure.
There we go. Now we can see you.
Okay, let me just adjust
Okay.
this. Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for being here. I'll let
It's
you.
So nice to see you.
Yeah, take it away. But good morning.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, I think this is so great because we're talking about our passions, moving them into something beyond a hobby. And I have to give everybody credit because you all have been doing this and maintaining this during the challenges of COVID. I think that's remarkable. So we're here today to learn from you in a couple different ways, how you did this and then how you did it, maintained it during COVID. So let's just get started. Aisha, I want to start with you. How you knew you were ready to turn a love into an actual side hustle. You're a content creator and founder of The Strength of She. You've got a very great message. You're talking about empowerment, self-care, self-love, really promoting yourself. What was it that made you say, I'm moving this forward, just beyond a passion that I have, and I want to help others?
Yeah, for sure. I think when I started The Strength of She 5 years ago, at that time, especially in Indianapolis, we just did not have a lot of communities that were set up, whether that was a virtual community or an opportunity to meet live with other women and talk about the topics that you shared, to talk about self-care and self-love and confidence, especially within the African American community. And so it was really important for me to start that. And we started it from a blog setting at first. But as women started to read our blogs and get connected to us, I saw that they were craving to meet women that were thinking the same as them and that they could relate to. And so that kind of motivated me to start our events with the other ladies that I co-founded it with. And it just kind of naturally grew into a business.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what was the response? Because, I mean, we know there's this huge need.
Yeah, I mean, it grew really fast. It grew really fast. We had a lot of different mini events throughout the city where we'd have about 40 or 50 women come. Our first conference, we had about 80 women come. And it was just a great response that we received from the community. And it motivated us to keep going.
Jennifer, I want to move to you now. Jennifer Rubenstein, you're the co-owner and publisher of Edible Indy. You have a passion for supporting local and supporting sustainable, living sustainable. So we know you live this in your own life, but you said, hey, I want to take this forward. I want to educate others now. Was there a moment for you when you made the jump from just yourself to making it bigger?
Yeah, I actually, so I moved to Indianapolis. I got married. I had a baby and I turned 35 all in a 2-year period of time. And I was lost, and I had been in corporate America. I had worked and been traveling. I would travel 3 weeks out of the month and 6 days a week. And
So I just sort of sat back and said, well, what can I do that really is going to work for me and become a legacy, be a mission, make a difference in the community? And so this actually, Edible Indy, kind of fell in my lap. And my husband and I decided that this was really something that we wanted to take on. We said we wanted to buy a zoo, I guess, if you will. And 8 years later, here we are. But I think at that time, the farm to table movement, it was really cutting edge, even though farm to table has been around forever. But it was really starting to pick up, and more people were starting to use local ingredients. And the farmers markets went from a very small segment to, hey, every county has at least 1, 2, 3, 4 farmers markets every week. And so it was just something that we said, having children, having 3.5 acres, we just really wanted to make a difference. And like you said, it was also me, it was selfishly for me to be able to connect with the community, because I was sort of a newbie and I didn't know really many people. And I'm not an introvert, I'm an extrovert, and I thrive off of being able to talk to people and connect.
Faith, I want to move to you now. You've held, you're a photographer, Faith Blackwell photographer. You've had this business for 10 years now. Do you remember this? This can be a scary endeavor. You're starting your own business 10 years ago. When you look back, do you remember, was there a moment where you said, oh gosh, I'm so afraid I can't do this? Or was there a moment where you said, no, I just woke up this morning and this is what I'm doing? Was there that moment either way that either held you back or propelled you forward?
I think I was working in marketing before I did this for 10 years. So I knew, like, I had that 7-year itch, knowing that this is not what was gonna, keep me going. I wasn't going up the ladder with it. It's not my passion. So when I picked up the camera, I immediately knew that was my passion. And by the time, like, it turned into a hobby while I was doing my job, and then just keep going with it. I did workshops and just like self-education and started building my clientele. And I knew, like, when I was going to give my 2 weeks notice, that was it. And I felt that sense of relief when I gave that. And I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Was there something you learned through the process of that you didn't know beforehand, that you maybe learned the hard way, that you would educate others about now if they're just starting out with their own business?
I've learned so much. Just like, don't spend all your money in one place. Just be willing to go through it. I knew it was going to take me, 3-4 years to break even. That was like a given with any small business. So just be willing to do everything just to know what you don't want, because that's as important as knowing what you do want.
Do you feel like, was there a sacrifice involved? I can't go on vacation yet because someone may need me. I've got to run my business, or I've got to work on vacation, things like that, where it's like, my business isn't 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's 24/7.
Exactly. I mean, it's the good and the bad part of it is that you can do it anywhere. So just like setting those boundaries became like one of my new word for the years, like boundary setting. So that's working on always consistently.
That's really good advice. Now, in this year of COVID, one thing I've noticed is, working from home a little bit. If you're working from home, you can really work around the clock. And so sometimes you have to physically step back and try to create that boundary. Aisha, I want to go to you now. We've seen people, one silver lining, at least I've noticed through COVID, is people have gotten so creative, whether it's holding events or just getting together with friends. Zooming with my family for Christmas was hard, but at least I got to see them. How have you gotten creative? I would assume a lot of what your messaging is so well done in person. How have you had to do that through Zoom or some other remote way during the last year plus?
Yeah, when it comes to the strength of she, that's been really difficult for us, especially because we all do work 9 to 5 still, or not necessarily 9 to 5s. One of us is a nurse and she works, 7 to 7. And so
Mhm.
it's been really difficult in that standpoint. And then at times where we were even quarantining away from each other. So we would do IG lives to try to continue to interact with our audience. We still did our campaigns and tried to stay connected through our newsletters, but we also have a podcast. So for the most part, we tried to stay connected and podcasting, regularly, just because they weren't seeing us in person throughout this last year.
How are things right now with some restrictions easing up somewhat? With more and more vaccinations, are you starting to have in-person meetings? Or where are you in that process?
Yeah, we aren't yet. We aren't yet, but we are planning some probably for the end of this year or going into next year. We really wanted to be sensitive to just everything that was going on and everyone's individual preferences, especially our own individual preferences. And so just try to be really sensitive to that. But that is something that we're looking into and planning.
Jennifer, I'm going to move to you now. Supporting local over the last year plus with COVID has, maybe been more important than ever. Around the holidays, we always talk about it, but, it's kind of heartbreaking to see all the businesses that have had to close down. Will they reopen or not? I guess that remains to be seen. But as your message is a lot of educating others about how to do this, but also the importance of it. What have you seen over the last year in terms of being able to educate others about here's why this is so important, and what do you see moving forward for a lot of these local businesses as we are starting to see maybe a light out of this?
Wow, that's a big question, because that has been a very heartbreaking piece of the puzzle over the last 18 months, because like you said, a lot of people have unfortunately closed down. However, the light, I guess, at the end of the tunnel there is that we've seen a lot of people who have actually flourished. So that actually is a really great thing. And I think that the other part of it is just like this panel. A lot of people actually pivoted and started side hustles within their own businesses in order to be creative. And I think that allowed us to be able to be where we are today. And I think moving forward, that's just the way that it's going to be. Is I think everybody's going to start pivoting and figuring out this possibly could be one of the worst things that could ever happen to any business. And how do we move forward? How do we rise from the ashes, if you will? I see a lot of people, like you said, a lot of freelancers, a lot of people leaving corporate America, but I also see corporate America giving grace. Whereas this right here, I'm in my little tiny house because I have 2 kids and a husband in my big house. Before, having kids screaming in the background or having cats and dogs barking in the background, it was never acceptable. You were always so anxious about it. And now it's like, hey, okay, this is the way that it is. If I don't have makeup on, okay, deal with it. I don't care. It's about who we are and moving forward and how we adjust. And it's really about what we want to get out of things. I think if somebody really wants something, they're going to get it.
What is the best way if you're a small business, a local business, and we know there are a lot of people in the community who want to support local, maybe they don't know where to go to do that or who's offering what? What's the best way to connect them to kind of market yourself?
Yeah. So first of all, my website, ediblendy.com, is fantastic, but it's groups like this. It's groups like going even to like your local visitors bureaus or checking out farmers markets. So many farmers markets have amazing websites that list their vendors, and then you can always connect with them on social media. I find a ton of our new vendors and our new businesses through social media because people tag us. But it is so important to do that and not be afraid to ask. like with an edible community, we are in 70 communities throughout the United States and Canada. So if you look up an edible in pretty much any state, you're going to be able to connect with those local businesses. And the other part of it is also working with each other. Like we work with Faith from time to time, and she will forever tag us in certain things. And I love that. And I love the fact that we are connecting each other without any sort of resistance to something that we need. It's just out of our heart and our goodness. And I think that that is what kind of spirals through social media when people want to connect local. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll find it.
I want to let anybody who's watching know too, if you do have questions, put them in the chat and we can ask those as well. Faith, I'm going to move to you now with your photography business. I mean, you know, photography, you kind of need to be in person to do that. We've seen creativity there too over COVID. What are some things you've done over the last year plus to maintain your business?
One of the things I've done, like when COVID first hit, I had immediate cancellation of everything for like the year. So once that hit, one of my goals actually for like last year was to start my Etsy business. So it gave me time to head in that direction and started my Etsy business. I do like different fine art pieces, do coasters. So I have an art side or art end as like a side hustle to my starting side hustle. So I started pivoting that way. And then once we were getting a little more open, a little more figuring out what was going on, a lot of my corporate clients, they were heading into, you know, the virtual realm. So everyone needed an updated headshot. They needed to get their online images together. So I started booking, like safely booking clients that way.
You know, it's part of that creativity that when this started, you wouldn't even think about, that we've all kind of adapted to. Let's go back to when you started your side hustle then. I know we talked about this a little bit. What's the single piece of advice that stands out to you that if someone is watching this and they're saying, you know, I'm intimidated about moving my side hustle forward, the best piece of advice you can give just out of the gate? Is it getting an accountant, maybe a lawyer? You know, maybe it doesn't have to be sexy, but something that you didn't know that you learned maybe the hard way that you can tell others to do this out of the gate.
No, just start is the hardest part. I'm always saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm afraid doing things every day. So it's like, it's not going to go away, but it does get easier. You'll be like, oh, I was afraid to do that, but I did it and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So you can get your lawyer. I mean, you don't have to have everything perfect right now. You can figure it out along the way. Your website doesn't have to be perfect. Your social media doesn't have to be perfect, but just keep doing it and you'll figure it out. And like, don't be afraid. If you can delegate, do that, because that helped me out a lot. I finally like allowed myself to get an assistant, and it's been life changing.
Probably you felt the need to do it all yourself at the beginning.
Very hard to give it up. So yes.
Aisha, what about you? What's the best piece of advice you can give?
You know, just being able to, I mean, outside of what Faith said, definitely to just start it, to just do it. But also expect the unexpected, you know, and be able to pivot, just like we're talking about, or kind of go with the flow, because you will have really great months, and you'll have not so great months, and you'll have great years and then not so great years. And how can you stay motivated and keep pushing through those lows and through those kind of lower times and lack of productive times and maybe not as successful times, but as long as you're staying grounded in this is my passion, this is what I love to do, and it has a purpose kind of in the world or in the community, or even just for me, being able to keep that going through that.
We've got a question that came in that I want to ask you while I've got you on. It's from Lauren, and she says, any advice for people who sense they're super creative and would love to start their own thing, but have no idea specifically what they want to channel that into?
Like what type of thing to start?
Yeah.
I do a lot of meditation, and I also do a lot of journaling. So a different part of myself is my personal brand, and I create journals for other people. But it's a part of me that I've been able to tap into that helps me know what I want to do with my business next. So just being able to have some quiet time with yourself, really go through those lists of what do I love, what do I not love type of things, or, what can I really access or get enjoyment out of for other people with this.
Jennifer, I want to go to you now. Both Faith and Aisha have both said, just jump in. I find myself a lot of times saying, oh, I can't do this yet because I need to ask this, or I need to find this out, or read more about this. Would you say the same thing? Just jump in and do it?
Yes, I absolutely would, because if you don't ever take that leap, you won't go anywhere. But I think one of the biggest things for me is that I had to learn really quickly how to not accept every piece of business. You need to accept the business that is right for you. And I think as women in general, we're still quick to say yes to everything because that's in our nature and our nurture. And you can't. There are certain people who are time suckers, and you'll spend so much more money on and time working on little projects versus bigger projects. And so definitely take a look and see if there's a fit for your business with that particular client, and don't feel the need to take everything that comes your way.
When you need to say no, do you feel it's easier to say no once you've already done that? You know, you don't want to, we feel like we don't want to let anyone down. But once you've said, you know what, this isn't right, the next time it's not right, it's easier to say.
Yes, you become empowered. But I won't lie, it's still hard to this day. There are certain things where I think, oh, what did it kind of eats in the back of my mind. What could I have done to help them? But then you kind of search inside of you and you go, no, it's not my issue. This was what was right for me. And this is what I have to do in order to propel myself forward.
You always have to think about your messaging. Faith, I want to go to you. We have a question. You mentioned social media. This question is coming from Renee. Renee says, I'm pretty good at LinkedIn and Twitter, but want to start my Instagram for my business. Any advice for someone with only 50 followers and 9 posts?
Just keep posting daily. Like Jennifer and I do, we tag each other on different things. So it's good to get interaction with your posts. Follow people who you love, who you want, depending on what your business is, who can benefit from your business. There's so many things that you're probably not thinking about that you can do, but just be consistent is key. Consistency is key.
When you were learning about social media, I'm still not very good at Instagram, and I don't have a TikTok, and these are both goals of mine. How do you learn about that? Do you just go to YouTube and look for videos? Do you lean on friends who are very good at it? How do you learn how to use these sites and make them fun and in some cases funny, but interactive?
All of the above. Are pros at it. YouTube, I YouTube for everything. So
yeah,
find everything. And I still don't have a real TikTok, so don't be ashamed about that because I don't have a TikTok. I'm trying to resist that one. But there are so many, if you just Google online, there's so many professionals who are giving free advice, who have so many followers. So I follow workshops on people who are doing videos professionally and just different things that I know I'm not good at. So I want to be, I want to be better in a lot of different things, but there are a lot of great advice out there.
Do you just go to how to Instagram? I mean, it's very simple to search, isn't it?
Yes, very, yes.
Aisha, I want to ask you this question. This came in from Kylie. She says, what are you most proud of in your side hustle?
I'm most proud of, that's such a great question. I'm most proud of all of the personal notes that I get from women. Whether it's through my personal platform or through the Strength of She, just being able to hear from them that, hey, I read this blog and it really related to me. And I've never heard someone speak, like my thoughts back to me in this way, or, this really motivated me to do X, Y, and Z that I didn't think that I could do. Receiving those messages, even from the smallest things that we might think we're doing, whether it is an Instagram post or, or a blog, just being able to hear that we're impacting women in that way really matters.
How important is that solidarity when you go, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one, for the community and moving it forward?
It's really important. I think that a lot of times it can help uh, kind of initiate other women to do the same thing. I mean, since we've started, I've seen so many other sister companies kind of get up and grow and start. And we stay connected with each other, kind of like Faith and Jennifer were talking about with tagging. We connect with each other and say, hey, do you want to sit on this panel? Do you want to be a part of my event? Do you want to come and speak to these women that I'm hosting? So we cross collaborate in that way. And I think that just continues to grow us forward too.
Guys, I think those are all the questions that I have. I think this is so great, just the candid conversation. And Leslie was talking about, maybe getting together in May, meeting in person, which would be so great, especially after the last year that we have. I know you all have social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So Indy Maven has those linked at their website as well. Leslie, those are all the questions that I had. I'm going to turn it back over to you now.
Thank you. That was so great, y'all. I loved it. I learned so much about you. I think we should all unmute and give them a big round of applause. Thank you. I loved it. It was so good. Those are great questions, and I just hope that anyone listening, first off, this is a huge message for this day today. Your passion does not have to make you money. It does not have to become a job. It does not have to become a side hustle. It can be for you and nobody else even knows that you have it. But the point is that you should have it. And then what you do with it is up to you, right? But I think if you do want to go that route and a side hustle is a great way, I think, for what I gathered from everything you're saying, is to dip your toe in and be like, is this something I want to do? Because sometimes it's great, go all in, right? But sometimes we're like, I gotta need to ease into this. And so I loved that you all had different paths and journeys and shared different experiences, but there's a lot of overlap lessons learned there too, right? Some great takeaways. So thank you again. And we're gonna do our giveaway now, which is, as I mentioned earlier, with Simplicity Juices. So I have yet to do one of their cleanses because honestly, I love food, and but I'm thinking that this is something I need to dip my toe into. I am going to put their link to the website right there, but I have been given a winner. We are putting everybody's names. Gabby is putting everyone's names into a number drawer, and then that's how we are selecting them. And so the winner for the Simplicity Juice Cleanse giveaway is Jillian Walker. So yay, and enjoy that. We will contact you on how to get that. And thank you all again so much for being here. We have a break, and then insider and premium ticket holders, you have an amazing workshop with Andrea Libros, and it's going to be fabulous. So I hope to see you there shortly. And everyone else, what's after that? Now I have to check my schedule. There's so many working things going on here. After that, we will have Sustaining Your Passion at 11 o'clock. So Andrea Ritter is our moderator for that one. Mariah Bear of the Bare Minimalist, Jessie Eskew of Onata General Store, if you haven't been in there, adorable, and Amber Crockett from Amber Blends. And I have known Amber now for a bajillion years, it seems like, and I have never heard her speak. So I am really excited, and talk about somebody who just turned their passion into a multi-million-dollar business. So that's going to be a good one too. So I will see you all again soon. I hope to see the rest of you. Good luck, everyone, with everything you are doing. And Jessica, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have a busy schedule with Fox 59, so we're so honored to have you kick off our day with us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, coffee refills, pee breaks, stretch breaks, all the things, and we'll see you all later.